Bonjour, hello, buongiorno, hello, trivat. Welcome to this third Thymio webinar in English that will focus on the experience of 3 teachers at different levels, from primary to university.
To have a good internet connection, we kindly ask you to turn off the camera and microphones. Please note that we will record this webinar, and as you might know, we will publish it on the YouTube page and on the Thymio and Roteco website. We have already shared webinars 1 and 2, and this is our first webinar in English, and we have an international audience. So we really hope that you will have fun.
So this webinar will be divided in several parts. The first one will be a presentation of Melissa from primary school, followed by Joël in high school and Laila at the university level. Of course, you can always ask your questions in the chat. We will collect all the questions and answer at the end. There will be a whole moment at the end where we will exchange and answer to all the questions. And of course, at the end, Eugenia will launch the Thymio Challenge 2020.
This webinar is organized by MOPSI Association, Roteco, and R2T2 project.
So, Melissa, you are a teacher in primary school with an international background, and we have 2 questions to answer in 10 minutes, chrono. So the first question is, how do you use Thymio in primary school, and why do you use it? Are you ready, Melissa?
I'm ready, and I'm going to say hello to everyone and welcome. My name is Melissa, and I'm an international school teacher. My aim is in the next 10 minutes to give you 2 mini lessons with Thymio that you can expand upon with your own students. And lesson 1 will be unplugged, no computer needed. And lesson 2 will be beginning program with Thymio's visual programming language, VPL3. A computer iPad is needed for the VPL, but you're the audience, so just watch along. I have so much to tell you on the why. I have left that for the very end, so hopefully I can get through the activities, but there are a number of reasons to use Thymios, to use robots in your class, and it's part of our curriculum, and we can talk about that when there's some discussion after. But let's get with the how to use Thymio, and I'll try to get through the 2 activities for you. So let me just share my screen. Give me just a second. Okay. All right. I think you should see now some Thymios in front of you with the projection. Does it look okay?
Yes, we can see it, Melissa.
All right. So for this first activity, the unplugged, I want you to think about your students, and this can be started at any age, with the young ones up to the older ones, to teacher trainings. Just remember, robots were invented to help humans do work. And more than ever, we need to think of creative uses for robots to help us stay safe in COVID-19. So why not have your students use robots to do tasks for them at school and at home? From the necessary ones to the regular chores. We can share, we can share with the students that it is possible because robots act upon our instructions or programs and continuously adapt to their environment. Robots have been around for many decades, and our students can find examples for the class of industrial robots in factories to assemble things, surgical robots in hospitals to help doctors, and robots that go to space for us. And then give them a 2020 challenge as I give you, the audience, while I do my activity. Think about ways Thymio's 6 pre-programmed modes or colors can do work for you right now and help reinforce COVID-19 precautions or prevent the spread of the virus. Well, what work is Thymio able to do in the green, red, yellow, blue, purple, and dark blue? Let's discover. These 6 pre-programmed colors or modes are pre-recorded in Thymio's memory and allow for Thymio to interact with its environment. Robot is an electronic device that has sensors, a microcontroller, and actuators that allow it to adapt to its environment. And in the case of Thymio, we have 5 sensors. Let's see if I got a good shot. 5 sensors in the front, 2 in the back, and 2 on the bottom that perceive what's in Thymio's environment. And that information is given to the microcontroller inside Thymio. Simple robot brain that processes the information received from the sensors, and then the microcontroller sends that information to Thymio's actuator. Then the actuators activate and act on the environment. In Thymio's case, that's the wheels and the speaker. Adaptation to the environment is possible thanks to the sensory motor loop, which is an essential part of a robot and at the heart of the program recorded in the robot's microcontroller. Okay, so let's start. Let me just make sure I'm in a good shot. So to turn on or off the Thymio, press the round button in the middle for 3 seconds. Great. I will also point out that Thymio can go as far as your imagination with its body built in a neutral way and color and the ability to connect with Lego bricks on the top and on the wheels and then also on the side. The possibilities are endless. For this activity, we'll keep Thymio as itself and focus on its 6 pre-programmed colors, but remember it is possible to add a 7th mode, your own programs, and turn Thymio into anything you imagine. Sorry, I'll try and stay in screen. And now we have Thymio on and we want to change the pre-programmed colors or modes. And so all you need to do is just tap the side arrows, back arrow, and you can go through all the colors. If the color does not blink, that it means the pre-programmed mode is not activated. To activate or exit the mode, press the round button once. Okay, and if Thymio is blinking, you are set to go. So let's start. Green, in green mode, Thymio will follow your hand. Or even other Thymios. Okay, and Thymio does this touch-free. And what you can do is collect from your classmates school papers, pens, oops, anything you want to move around the classroom, touch-free and outside of obstacles. And if you forget and you want to grab something on the Thymio will retreat, reminding you to stay touch-free in these COVID times. Okay, on to our next color, red. In red, Thymio can remind to help us not to shake hands. Thymio will move away if you go ahead to, if you go close to it. And if Thymio gets stuck between 2 people and cannot physically distance, just wait and see. Oh dear, yes, Thymio makes quite a noise, warning people to make space. Give him a little thumbs up there. And now on to yellow. In yellow, Thymio is in explorer mode, but while reminding us to physically distance while moving around. If Thymio senses something is too close to it, Thymio will turn. If an object's on its left, it will correct to the right. And if an object is on its right, it will correct to the left. And Thymio, you press the arrow key to move backwards and avoid objects from behind. Okay, we are halfway through the colors, and what I want you to think about as I'm doing this activity is what you could do with your students and what they could come up with to use these modes. So now let's go on with light blue. In light blue, Thymio will follow a path, the black line. It can be curved or straight. And Thymio will use its ground sensors, the two on the bottom, and detect when it's wandered off the path. If the ground sensor no longer detects black, Thymio will turn itself in the opposite direction and correct. So as a challenge for students, do they want to send a message to the school office, another class? Well, I think I've got a little class 3B will be there shortly. Thymio can keep everyone safe by making the trip for you. Got my ride in the park the wrong way. And then on to purple mode. If you don't have a black line, Thymio can't follow the bottom sensors, no problem. Thymio obeys you in purple. You can go ahead and press the arrow keys. Oops, sorry, back up. Okay, the color is blinking for me. Thymio, go forward. Oh, no, sorry, it's blinking. Yep. Thymio, go forward, right, left, back. And you can use a remote and command your Thymio from a distance. Should be able to command, there we go. And finally on to dark blue. Okay, in dark blue, we know that when we talk, or as I'm doing right now, sneeze, cough, we must take care and cover our mouths. I started this event with a mask on. In dark blue, Thymio is prepared to allow you to not speak or touch it, but follow your claps. I guess I'm gonna start. One clap, two. Thymio can go to a dance party. Your students can come up with a combination of claps that are a way of communication without spreading the virus. So now audience, it was a very fast going through the colors, an easy way to start with Thymio in its pre-programmed modes. I give you a challenge. You can give your students the same challenge. Out of the 6 pre-programmed colors I demonstrated, I want you to choose the best color for Thymio to keep physical distance and best hygiene practices. And audience, what color would you choose? I will ask right now as I change my screen to the VPL3 if you would type in the chat your colors and send them in, and you can see what the audience comes up with.
Melissa, you have 1 extra minute.
Okay, then I better launch to VPL3, and I hope, let me see very quickly if I can get to the VPL3. Yeah. Sorry, a second. That.
Can you hear all?
We see the Zoom.
Sorry.
Yes.
Thank
now
you.
We see it.
I apologize for the little technical help. Okay, with just 1 minute left, I will take you to VPL3. I hope I haven't had a chance to see in the chat with my screen share, but I hope that you've come up with some colors. And in this case, I'll just quickly introduce you. The pre-programmed colors are a good way to start with Thymio, and you can do that with any age, particularly with the younger primary. With the upper primary, you can start with the programming, and you can do the same social distancing with VPL3. If I want to have Thymio, just very quickly, I'll choose my blocks. I have put, or at least I put a dongle in, and that has put Thymio, if you can see with the pink light. Now it's receiving the information from the dongle ends up being wireless. So Thymio, I can do this with a cable or with a wire. Thymio is ready to go with my programs. I've got with the VPL3. Can you see the screen of the VPL3?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. On your side, and there's a check up top. Let me just my cursor and the people out of the way. you can see that Thymio is ready to go. There's a tick on top of the Thymio. On the left side, we have the orange event blocks, and that's what will happen with Thymio. And then we have on the right side the blue action blocks and what we want Thymio to do. So just very quickly, I can add more blocks, take away blocks. This will be just quite simple. This can be even started with 7 to 8-year-old children. This is something you can start with the front sensors. And I'll just quickly take over the front sensors. The icon for the front sensors, I will click, drag, drop. Click on the front sensor. If Thymio senses something in front of it, I want Thymio to stop. And I will need to quickly add one more block then. Sorry, activate the block. I want Thymio to stop, and in this case, I'll have Thymio turn red. And if Thymio does not sense something in front of it, nothing is there, I will ask Thymio to keep going forward and turn green. And this is something that the children can do in pairs. If they each program a Thymio, you can have Thymios line up and have this in a line for the social distancing. Do it with the one right now for time. Thymio sees something, stop, turn red. Thymio sees nothing, go forward, turn green. And let's send the program to the Thymio. And you can just imagine if you have a line, Thymio will stop, and the children in the class can make put their Thymios together and do the lines like social distancing, proper distancing. And I will end my activity. I never even got to the why, but I know now we'll go on to the next person, and I'll take your questions in the end. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Melissa, for your great presentation. Now we will hear Joël from France with his experience in high school with Scratch. Joël, as Melissa, you have 10 minutes to answer the same question. How and why do you use Thymio in high school? Joël, c'est à toi. Merci.
Okay, thank you. Let me introduce myself. I'm teacher in physics and chemistry in college, 11 to 18 years old pupils in school at Bordeaux, France. I teach also computer science in lycée last level, 17 years old, in the new option called NSE. I began computer workshop a long time ago, but I went to robotic only 5 years ago. A brief history of Thymio and Scratch. In 2015, David Sherman, researcher at INRIA Bordeaux, researcher in it's a center of research in computer science, create a software bridge between Thymio ACEBA system and the visual language Scratch 2. Sometime after, MOPSIA and IPFL joined the project. At this time, my pupils and me was involved as tester of this new technology, but the tuning and the debugging was tricky, and I spent a lot of sessions to make robot working. But my pupils have been patient. I thank them. Now we have Thymio Suite. It's a real happiness. Thank you, Michael. Why I choose to use Scratch with Thymio? Several reasons to that. You know that Thymio, I share just an image. Sorry, okay. You know that Thymio have a hole to put a pen and draw. Have you tried to draw a square with VPL or ACEBA language? It's very difficult to young learner. On the screen, you see on the left side the
Excuse-moi, Joël, excuse-moi de t'interrompre. On voit pas ton écran. Tu nous montres quelque chose là? Sorry. Don't worry.
Oui, normalement.
Prends ton temps et partage l'écran tranquillement.
Ouais.
Voilà, là on commence à voir ton écran.
It's okay. Okay, you have two scripts. Okay,
yes.
I continue.
Yes, perfect.
In the right side, you see the script to draw a square with ACEBA, and on left side. And on the right side, you see the same thing with Scratch. And you can see that it's very simple in Scratch and not at all with ACEBA. The reason of that is that ACEBA is a pure event language, not a procedural language. And beyond this example, I want to show that Scratch extends widely the actions we can do with the robot. The creative potential of this technology seems to me endless, especially to create complex scripts and stories. Simultaneously, a good surprise happened in France. In 2016, Éducation nationale decided to use Scratch as a legacy language to teach programming to kids. Now I'll show a fast overview of Scratch block dedicated to Thymio. Okay, okay. We have about 50 and more blocks. It's very rich, and you can find a Thymio block. I show simply block. Sorry for the French, but I don't have the block in English. We have block action to go forward to some distance at some speed, turn off some angle, manage all the light and sound. You can retrieve all the measures of the sensors, and two special blocks to link movement of Thymio and the movement of the Scratch sprite. And you can, of course, mix all Thymio blocks with standard blocks of Scratch. Now I shall introduce my robotic workshop in 5e, 12 years old pupils. It's divided in two parts. Okay, I can see my face. Okay, so just to return to my sorry, I seek to.
You want to try to stop the sharing, Joël?
Yes. Yes. Sorry, I'm not familiar with this. Okay.
Don't worry.
Okay. First part, as part of mass education, the idea is to introduce robotics and programming to all pupils of a given level, and not only for kids active in computer science. During a 2-hour session, pupils are grouped by two with a Thymio robot and a computer. Very quickly, they manipulate the robot. The progress of the activities is based on the InRobo robotic initiation document developed by Inria Flowers' team. It involves about 180 pupils. This document, originally planned for 2 hours and for age 8 to 10, was adapted for 2 hours and older age. Pupils begin with pre-programmed behavior of the robots, what you've seen before, and they make programs with Aceba VPL. They don't use Scratch. The feedback was very positive. A little anecdote, some of them asked me if they can go back home with the robots, and of course not. And I give them the address of a shop to buy it. Not sure findings. It's not necessarily the pupils with the highest mark we are the most interested. Success is as great with girls as with boys. With girls, often we can observe an emotional attachment to Thymio. Now, for the second part of the activities, okay. The interested pupils can register for weekly workshop for the rest of the years, whether 10 to 15 sessions of 1.5 hours long. The group is not very numerous, generally about 15 pupils, with 1 robot for 2 pupils. I don't get more because a lot of them have scheduled other activities before. We began to work with Scratch and Thymio, of course, and leave VPL. The first step is to discover the main blocks with a little challenge at the end of every session. And you know that pupils love challenges. Step by step, we discover more complex activities. I'm not very demanding in progress speed and what is important for me. They have to understand what they do without any pressure, as they can meet in standard courses. They can add their own ID, exchange between them, and so on. And very important, they to take fun. I will present just one activities we do. Okay, I show you a little video. To do that, you see the robots entering a tunnel. There is nothing in it. And when the Thymio reaches the end of the red line, the black line, it turned back with a green light saying it's okay. He come back slowly. He is very prudent. And now we will see the second part of the video. Now we are going to add an object at the end of the tunnel. We cover the tunnel, and Thymio have a different behavior. Okay. Now you see the object at the end. Thymio approach, and he turned back faster with a big sound and a red light. Okay, and the challenge to pupils is they have a mysterious tunnel, and they don't know what we can find it, and they have to write the script. I will show now the solution in Scratch Thymio block. You see, it's not very complex. The main block is the longer here, which name is waiting for. Waiting for first case, you meet the object, and it is the first option that that robot execute. And you see moteur à vitesse 500. And the other option, there is nothing, and the ground sensor caps the black line at the end of the tunnel. And to conclude, as conclusion, I would say that the association of Thymio Scratch is for me full of future perfume discoveries and non-written stories. By example, I would be very interesting to develop links between sprites and Thymio and other robots. And I went in for programming Thymio with Python for older pupils. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joël. Merci for your marvelous presentation. Please, if you have questions for Joël, sorry, you can write on the chat, okay? And at the end, we will answer. But now we will hear Laila with her experience at the university level, sorry. Laila, you will have 10 minutes to answer again the question. So how and why do you use Thymio at the EPFL? We cannot hear you, Laila.
Yes, give me a second. I'm just trying to share my screen.
Great.
So here, now you should, can you see the slides or?
Yes, we can see your slides.
Okay, perfect. Just give me a few seconds over here. So is this still okay? I'm not sure what you're seeing.
We are seeing Francesco and a picture of the EPFL.
Okay, perfect. So, hi, my name is Laila. I'm not, I should go one slide before. So I'm not a teacher, but I'm a PhD student, and I'm here today to present the work that we're doing with my professor, so Francesco Mondada. So I put his image over here to the left, and so Professor Mondada is a professor of AI and robotics at EPFL. And what some of you may not know is that he was actually one of the initiators of the development of the Thymio robot. We both work at the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology in Lausanne, in Switzerland. So very close by to where actually Mopsia is located. So it's also called EPFL, and it's one of the top 10 universities in Europe, and also one of the top 20 universities worldwide. So I said that we were using the Thymio to actually at the university level. So we're actually using it in a master's course with robotic students to teach them about mobile robotics. And the idea is that we cover quite a few topics related to this, and the students get to implement the project on the Thymio robot at the end of the semester. So we have last year anyway, we had about 160 students that we put into groups of 4, and they had about 3 or 4 weeks to develop their project. Within their project, what they had to do was create a custom environment that they needed to map. So I'll show you some examples of this in a bit. But within this map, what they needed to do is to plan a path for the robot. So you have obstacles in the environment, and the idea is that the robot needs to go from a point A to a point B. So you need to know where the robot can go. Ideally, you try to find the shortest path. And then you also need to be able to tell the robot how to move. But to do that, you need to know where it is, because depending on where it is in the map, you're not going to tell it to go left or to go right. And then to add another challenge, what we did is tell the students that at any point in time, we can put a random obstacle in the space in front of the robots, and that the robot would have to go around the obstacle without going over other forbidden areas within the map. So before I show you a few examples, I'm just going to answer the original question, which is why we chose the Thymio. So there are a lot of reasons for that. The first is that it's a low floor and high ceiling robot. So you've seen this already throughout the different presentations, because you don't need to know much about the Thymio robot to be able to use it, but it doesn't prevent you from addressing more advanced concepts like the ones that we're doing in the course. And however, because the robot is relatively simple, it also has multiple constraints. So this is a good thing in our case, because it doesn't have that much processing power as other robots that you could find at the university level. It's not equipped with a camera, for example. You don't necessarily have a precise indication as to how much the robot has moved, or at least not enough for the type of algorithms that we're having the students implement. So the idea is that the students really need to learn to deal with these constraints and consider how to work around them in order to have a project which works well. Finally, it's also a robot which is more easily accessible and more affordable than others that are used in higher education nowadays. For example, there's another robot that these same students used in the previous semester, which is as expensive as $900 per unit. So we're really talking a completely different price range. So just to go through some of the examples that were done last year. So as I mentioned, the students needed to create their own custom environments. Here you can see 3 of those, which are actually pretty creative. And of course, they're very different each one from the other. The first one is a printed sheet with these black and white patterns, which are going to help the robot localize itself using the ground sensors. Over here, you have this white sheet where the students put these black boxes on top to kind of create the permanent obstacles in their environment. And over here, you have this group, which just basically took a bed sheet and they added any random black obstacles of any shape onto the sheet to create their environment. As I mentioned, we needed to have the students find the best path from where the Thymio is to the target. So the Thymio here, I've circled it in green, and you can see that they've all used different ways or different, they had different ideas on how they could easily identify the robot. So here they were using the camera, for example, and they have this blue patch over here and the red patch. So both to help figure out where it is and how it's oriented. Over here you have something relatively similar where you have these 2 dots, and identifying the big dot and the small dot are going to help you also know where in what orientation the robot is. This group actually didn't even use anything actually to detect the robot. They were just using the camera and were able to relatively, or actually pretty well, they were able to segment the Thymio and localize it quite nicely. So they all had also different targets. So here this group just put a random target in the software. They didn't actually use an object. Here they put this red square, which you could move as you wanted. And here they use this little tag over here. So as I mentioned, you needed to know where the robot was. So they used, this group used probabilistic approaches, and you can see, so they didn't overlay the map on their image, but what you can see is that there's a density, and the darker areas where the robot is more likely to be, and it corresponds pretty well to where the robot actually is in the map. Over here, you have, so this is what they're rendering on their computer, and you can see over here, these little dots over here, which represent where the robot is, and it's pretty well overlaid on the actual position of the robot in the environment. As I mentioned, we would also add obstacles. So here you have a cylinder. Here they actually used one of their own blocks as an obstacle, so that way the robot had to realize that it couldn't move anymore, and it had to replan how to get to the target. Here they also used a little cylinder, and I'm just going to show you one of these projects in full so that you can get a better picture. So these groups were nice enough to prepare these videos for us at the end of their projects. So I'll let you just finish reading what's on this. And then here, as I said, you have the environment. They're putting the target. The robot is oriented in the wrong direction. They're going to plan the path. You can see it over here through these waypoints, which are predetermined based on the shape of the obstacles. The robot is progressing quite nicely. You see that it's pretty well located the full time. It goes around the obstacle, but it doesn't actually go over the other obstacles which are already in the environment. And then it gets to its target after going around the other obstacle that was put in its way. So thank you for your time. I don't necessarily have much to add, but of course, if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, Laila, really for your very nice presentation. As Laila says, please, if you have any questions for Laila, Melissa, or Joël, you can write on the chat. We are very lucky because today we have Michael from the Thymio team, Mopsia, that can answer your technical questions too. So don't hesitate to write on the chat. Some of you maybe don't feel comfortable to write in English. You can write in French, in Russian, in English, in Spanish. We speak many languages. So please feel free to ask your questions on the chat. We are here for you and we speak many languages. So don't hesitate. So Sarah, do you have some questions on the chat?
Yes, of course. I received some question in private. So first, I will ask to Melissa. Why did you choose Thymio for primary schools?
Can you hear me okay now?
Yes, perfectly.
All right. Oh, hold on just 1 second. I need to make sure I hear you. Yes, in fact, I didn't get to the why. I wanted to try to get the 2 activities in those 10 minutes. It's not so easy, but in a class you have more time, and basically you have a lot of activities that you can unpack with the quick ideas I gave you. There was a request to put some of those activities, and I'll put them on Roteco. People are interested. So the why. And
I don't know if you, yeah, really, why you choose Thymio?
Why use Thymio in primary school? Well, as teachers, our curriculum now mandates computer science and technology, as well as problem solving, creativity, communication, and collaboration competencies. And our students need all of them. And many of our schools are focused on STEM, the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics disciplines. And knowing that this is on our shoulders as primary school teachers, simply the Thymio opens an educational pathway for us and our students that facilitates all of the above and more. And this was why Thymio was created. It was with the overarching educational goal at the EPFL, the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology, in Lausanne with other Swiss institutions and teachers involved. Another important point to me as an educator is educational research with and around the Thymio continues with the support of EPFL's Center for Learning Sciences. And Thymio has open software and everything around it is open science, providing researchers and teachers a chance to foster more scholarly environment and interact and succeed. And more practically, as a teacher addressing the classroom situation, because that's what we are all in, the Thymio is easy to use for everyone, for any age group, and you can see the creativity and the uses with Thymio are really endless. And the Thymio is an educational robot where teachers can learn along with their students and take their students farther once they become knowledgeable. Unplugged activities, such as the one that I showed you with the Thymio colors, that is a great place to start because it's computer science with all the fundamental concepts and foster computational thinking, but without needing a computer in front of you. And as you've seen, the Thymio can take the students all the way through university levels. So that is, to me, you can have a Thymio in your school and compare it with other robots. You have so many options, and there's a real genuine interest in education and research behind the Thymio. So those are that's the why, and I'm sorry I didn't give it to you in the beginning, but I'm happy to have any dialogue.
I have another
interested Thymio.
Thanks a lot, Melissa. I have as well another small, short question, because you launched the challenge for all the people here listening. And which color would you use yourself? If there is any color which is the best to use for this challenge you launched?
Melissa, we don't hear you. You are mute.
Sorry, I'm back on. No, yes, I need to answer your color.
Yeah, because a lot of people reply different colors.
I went through the chat and I did take a look. In fact, you know, the children can decide what they think is the best color. Probably the neatest one for me is if you go ahead with yellow. And if you put Thymio on yellow, it will socially distance. If you have a few Thymios, you can put them together with yellow and they will socially distance and that's a neat way. They can be in the middle, the children can be in a circle. And then you put the Thymios in and they can watch them do that. That would be my choice for the answer. But like I said, Thymio is you can be as creative as you want to be. But I would give you that as a starting point. Yellow would be my choice, but you may come up with a better answer. That's the great thing if you explore this idea with the 6 pre-programmed colors with Thymio. That's just what I thought of. And I think if you take this to your students, it will go even further.
Great, thanks a lot, Melissa. I have some other question. Next question would be for Joël. A simple question. Do you prefer VPL or Scratch?
Oh, of course, I prefer Scratch. The aim is not the same. To begin, VPL is very okay, and Scratch is more. It's for after VPL. I think it's a good idea to begin with VPL and to continue with Scratch. What I like in Scratch is, as I say, it's endless, and if you have imagination to write stories and complex script, you can do that. But in VPL, it's very difficult, in fact.
So your reply is linked to the next one. I have another question. Do you usually do any other activities before starting with Scratch?
I began with Asiba Language Studio, but it was a bit difficult to pupils 11 years. And now Scratch is very good because in mathematics courses they use Scratch and they know the environment of programming we can find with Scratch.
So normally, which age groups are you referring when you are working with Scratch?
The age is 11, 12, and so on. Of age. And, because I teach them in physics, and also it's natural for me to continue in robotics. I've also pupils with older as 15 and 60. And some years I used Thymio and other robots called Poppy, the Poppy series created in Bordeaux. I use it also.
That's great. Thanks a lot for your answers, Joël. And I have as well other question this time for Laila, sorry. You show as well a project for university.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think this project would be suitable as well for younger students, or to be proposed in college or high school?
Well, I mean, I know that there are a lot of reforms in the computer science program, so I'm pretty sure that the students are going to be much more advanced in 10 years. And it's probable that there are a lot of things that we were going to be able to shift to high school, that they're instead of what they're learning now in university. I know that there is a summer school that's organized at EPFL, also by the same professor. And I know that they do address some of these topics, and it is for high school students. So I do believe that there are things, yes, that you could also start to address earlier on.
Thanks a lot. I have another question. How much time does it take for students to create such a project you show?
It depends on the students. We had students who spent 30 hours, the 4 together, and we have students who spent 70 hours each. I mean, it really depended also on how much they did the exercises that we gave them during the previous weeks. It's very dependent. But what we had estimated was that it would take 30 hours or 40 hours per student. So in groups of 4.
Thanks a lot. And we saw as well your project, and it's completely understandable, but behind, which language did you use to construct such a project?
So we had somebody who knew the Thymio platform pretty well, and he developed a way to communicate between the robot and the computer via Python. So that was a choice that we had made because Python is a pretty accessible language, and we thought that it would be a good opportunity for the students to learn this. It also gives more possibilities than just coding in Aziba, because you could integrate much more. For example, we have image processing, we're acquiring video feed. So it really gives us a lot more range of things that we can do. But there are also groups who did use Aziba because the communication via the dongle was always a bit slow, or it depended, but generally it was a bit slow. So there were certain things that were better to run on the robot directly as well. So some groups did a combination of both, but there are also groups who did use the cable. I didn't show a video of that, but so yeah, that's essentially great. Python. Most of the work was done in Python.
Yeah, that's great, because there was as well another person from the chat who was asking, is there any other programming language we can use with Thymio? So I think you already replied to this question. Python is one of them. So another question would be for Michael. Maybe he's more inside this project, and he knows better where we stand at the moment. So Thymio and Python.
Okay, so in Mopsia we support Thymio Suite and the 4 languages you already see. Python, EPFL just put out a Python library where you can, it's not included in Thymio Suite, but you can, with that library, give commands to the robot. So in that case, it's like with Scratch, the code is in the computer and the robot, it's only remote control by the Python code running on the computer.
Great, thanks a lot. So it's still possible as well to work with Thymio in Python. Another question we received privately, and it was in Russian, so it's Genia that will reply to this question, but for sure in English. So is there any other challenge with Thymio where schools can from different countries can do it and can participate?
So yes, we have a challenge. It's like more collaborative challenge of R2T2, where it's possible to program Thymio in distance remotely. So it means that we have here our setup with Thymios, and schools from whatever in the world can connect to this robot here, and they can control them. And all what is happening here in at the EPFL be projected by YouTube video on YouTube video, and you will be able to see what is happening here, etc. But there are one more element that you could discover during the mission and during the preparation. So I invite you to subscribe if you would like to see what is it. And you can go on the website r2t2-collaboration.com, where you will find another and all information. And one more challenge we have today to propose to you, but I will do it maybe in the end. I don't know if we are already ready or not. Sophia, Sarah, what do you think?
If you have some time.
We can announce right now? Yes? Okay, and one more challenge we would like to propose to you today. It is Thymio Challenge 2020. So I'm sharing my screen, and I will tell about it. So you can see my picture right now.
Yes,
you can see.
We
yes?
can see
Great.
your sky.
Sky or
now we can see the l'affiche. Yes.
Your screen.
Great. So we invite all of you, your colleagues, your friends, to participate in this challenge, Thymio Challenge 2020. And it is a contest which starts today, 30th of September, and will be closed on the 14th of December. So you have time to do something. This contest is prepared in collaboration with Roteco, R2T2, Mobsy, and Génération Robot from France. What we would like you to do, it is create a disinfector with a robot and any other materials that you would like to use and can use. What do you need to participate? There are two options. So first option, the teacher have to register on the Roteco platform and create their an activity where you can show us how you created this disinfector with a robot. And after to end just in subtitle Thymio Challenge 2020. Options 2, the teacher have to post an image or video on Twitter and put the hashtag Thymio Challenge 2020. And after send us an activity and material for this activity to the email address info@roteco.ch. And how we will choose the winners? There are 4 categories that we will see. First is the creativity. Second is the best documented presentation. Third is the collaboration. And the last one is the difficulty. So we would like to see a project where you can open your imagination and run your ideas and realize your ideas. We would like also to see the documents where we can see how you worked. We would like children or students work together. So share with us all information how you work together in a team. And we would like to choose one creation that would be difficult with a well thought mechanism and with a well organized code. And in the end, you will receive some awards. So we have some awards to propose to you. It's Thymio wireless or Maki with a Thymio book, and one mug from Roteco, you could receive some kits of micro:bit and some other things from Génération Robot. We propose to you also one free mission, Moon mission R2T2 for whole one class of 20-25 students. And in addition to these awards, we propose to the winners an interview in order to polarize your students and their work. So we are waiting for your solution. Good luck, and we are waiting for your hashtag in Twitter and Roteco.
Thank you, Evgenia. Thank you so much. As you know, sometimes we like to do a souvenir picture. So I will ask you if you can put your cameras on, if you wish, to have a nice souvenir. Evgenia, can we do that ourselves, or how does that work?
Yeah,
Yeah.
We will try to open your video.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Perfect. We can see Alex, we can see Stefan. So the other ones that want to be on the picture, you can put your camera on. Perfect. Thank you.
Who can do it? Yes, who can do it? Just open your camera. And who can't, I will open the permission for you.
Nice. That's nice to see the faces of people who participate to the webinars. Thank you, Maud. Thank you, Frédéric. Thank you, Peter, Joanna. Sorry, my screen has a problem. Evgenia, can you do the picture with your screenshot?
Yes, I think I can. I just would like to open more maybe.
Open more cameras. Okay, we're still waiting some seconds to do the souvenir picture of the webinar.
If someone don't want, you can just stay.
Yes, you can also just. It's also to share on the social medias, you know. So if you don't want, you can also turn off.
So I don't know if I asked all of you to open the video.
Thank you, Anna.
Sorry
Hi,
if I lost someone. So we are there, and sorry.
It's nice to see all the smiles. Are they open or? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I just verify if I have. Yes, I have picture. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you for the time that you have spent with us.
If you have any other question right now, we always do that for the people that really would like to have do they have a question for somebody here? This is the time to do it. So don't be shy and raise your voice, ask your question.
Hi, I'm sorry, I came in a little bit too late because I was in a class. I just wanted to ask, I'm a high school teacher, so I do robotics with the older ones, but we're trying to get the younger ones into it. So I'm just sort of wondering, from what age group have you found that they work well with the, can the young kids use VPL, for example, to program these robots? What's your experience there?
Maybe I will take that question. Let me just make sure I have my microphone on so I can hear. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes,
sorry, I'm just splitting a room, so we're trying not to have the echo between us. But, Anna, yes, in fact, as I mentioned, the EPFL has a Center for Learning Sciences.
Yeah.
And VPL is started with children as young as 7 and 8, but really looking at your basic, oops, sorry, I'm knocking the emails off on my desk. Looking at the, I don't know if you can see as well, I don't have my camera shared, but looking at the front sensors is an easy place to start. And so, and with the VPL3, what's nice is you can block, you can take just the blocks you want the children to use. and start with making it quite simple for them to start. And then keep going up in an advanced way. But yes, it can be at 7 and 8. And I have to say, if anyone is interested in finding out more or knowing more, please contact Voici, and that's a way to get a hold of the EPFL Center for Learning Sciences. And Anna, I know we've been in touch. So we'll continue, and I think that would be quite nice for us to continue with your school, talking about how that works for you in your setting. With the lower primary, thinking of that 7 to 8-year-old age group and doing some nice comparison with robots too.
Yeah, okay, cool. Thank you.
Thanks for your question, Anna.
No worries.
There's somebody who's confirming that his 8 years old son can use it from the chat. But right now, if you have any other question, we have as well our technical guy. We have to make the most of it. We can a bit.
I love the Python idea. I haven't tried the Python, but I'm really keen to get going with the Python. And I'm just wondering if it would work through the Colab platform. Probably not. I would need to download the IDLE and do it through the IDLE. Would that be right?
Mikael, your micro is off.
So for Python, I'm not the expert because it's done by EPFL. But what I learned, it's you just it will be included in the Python library. So you just install the library from Python automatically, and then it's you have some example on the link that I shared in the.
Would those libraries be built into the Colab platform, the Google Colab?
I don't think so, but perhaps I'm wrong.
Okay.
But this is Python and Thymio is not really right now. It's already there, but we still didn't really publicize it because we are still have to work on it. This is something that will for sure come up soon.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give it a try. We'll see how we go.
Exactly. For the moment, is let's say it was somebody from EPFL that developed this for Thymio, but we didn't really move forward from the initial project. But it's still possible to program it.
Okay, we'll give it a go. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I asked a question earlier. Sorry, I'm taking a lot of airtime here, but the question was just about the details of the project. I love the idea of this project and the collaboration involved. How, where can I find details of it?
This is for sure something that Eugenia is taking, is responsible of. You are talking, Anna, about the R2T2 project?
Yes.
Eugenia?
So, yes, I'm ready to answer. You can find more information in the website. I just shared the link with you in the chat.
Okay.
Yes, and there we propose some missions, and if you have some questions, etc., just don't hesitate to contact us by the form that you will find in almost all pages.
Fantastic. Okay, I'm on that site now. Great. Right, thank you for that.
And of course, it's open like for all countries, etc.
Okay. And age groups, what about the age groups? What do you think is?
I suggest to propose it to students from 10 years old, and after we can do it even like with teachers, etc. So, but the youngest, I think, 10 years old.
Okay. Okay, that's very cool. Thank you.
And maybe I could just add one thing, because you asked me about the programming with Thymio and the age. The reason I started with an unplugged activity is that the unplugged activities are generally used with the lower primary. That's the focus, but I think I should just put that in. It's why I did show the Thymio unplugged. And the idea is that with the younger children, it would be your unplugged activities. It's just there is a possibility of doing some beginning programming.
Okay, cool.
That's great. Thanks a lot, Melissa. We have as well another question from our friends from Australia, Peter. Maybe it's Michael can ask to this question because he has a project where he needs to get the Dudobot arms to talk to the Thymios.
So I see the question on the chat. So the protocol between the Thymio and the wires dongle, it's not standard. It's our own protocol that we have. It's based on the Azeba protocol that is behind, and I will not make a use that way to interact with the Thymio. It's better to use or an Azeba switch or the Thymio device manager which have an IPE in C++ or an IPE in JavaScript to access to the robot. So it's better to use our tools to access to the robot than to hack the wireless protocol.
Peter, if you have any other question on this technical, maybe I can write you our email for support, so you can even go deeper.
Yes.
support@ampsia.org. Does anybody else have a question, would like to talk and speak, or to any of our teachers here?
Well, Sarah, I think that we are very happy to have all these international teachers around us. Thank you for your presence. Thank you, a warm thank you to Laila, Joël, and Melissa for this great presentation, for the work behind it. Thank you, Michael, for supporting us with the technical questions. And thank you to Sarah and Evgenia, for helping to do this webinar. We are going to continue to do webinars, so please keep, the information will be always on thymio.org and on Roteco, and of course we are going to share the information as always in Facebook and Twitter. So we hope to see you again. I hope that you enjoy this nice moment, and we hope that we can see you again.
Thanks a lot, everybody, for joining.
Thank you.
Thank
you, everybody. Bye bye. Have a beautiful afternoon or morning, depending where you are.
Evening.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.